Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrows. How's it going, everyone? My name is Kellen Winters. I'm the host of A Panthers Place, and I am depressed. Granted, I've been depressed for a long time now, watching my Carolina Panthers play every week, except for, two measly times that I've been able to enjoy my life for a week. But besides that, we're here after the Panthers have gotten shut out for the first time since 2020, and it's to the Jacksonville Jaguars, which are a playoff team. They're first in their division, but they were starting a backup quarterback. And while, yes, it is the year of the backups, the Panthers have a top 10 defensive unit and should have not allowed this to happen. And because the defense has done so overwhelmingly good for us this season, I'm going to talk about them and their shortcomings very briefly and try to be not as angry as I feel right now because of the fact that they have done so well. You're bound to have some games where you are not performing up to the level you're always performing at. You're going to have some slump games, stuff like that. My biggest problem is that we've had two in a row now, and of course the Green Bay one was worse because them having that slump game on a game where our offense was actually cooking, that really hurts. But now this one, compounded with the fact that offense was absolutely fucking inept, makes it so much harder to deal with. And the biggest thing is just arm tackles, arm tackles, arm tackles. There were so many points in this game in which ETN, Evan Ingram, Calvin Ridley would get the ball either on a run or they would get the ball short of the down marker, and they would be able to get away from the first and even second contact that a Panther player would put on them because they were not wrapping up their tackles efficiently. There were many times where Ridley would be hit by, like, say, Dante Jackson or Shaquille Griffin, and he would simply spin out of the contact and be able to dive forward for the first down. Or there were times where Evan Ingram was able to get the ball in the middle of the field, and we would have our linebackers try to wrap him up with the arms with a measly little forearm tackle. And of course, he's a big tight end. He doesn't go down, and he's able to rush for about like 22 yards. ETN, who has the current highest rate of broken tackles in the NFL at the moment for the running back position, and maybe overall, I'll have to check that. But he has the highest amount of broken tackles. We were still trying to arm tackle him. There were multiple times throughout this entire game where we were seeing ETN make crazy broken tackles. And even on his long 62-yard touchdown run, there were multiple times where Panthers defenders had hands on him, and he was still able to break free. There was also a few times where CJ Beathard actually decided to take a scramble, or it was a design run with him. Even at one point, Frankie Louvu looked like he was concerned to go in for a tackle on him. That may be just because of the fact that the quarterbacks, even if they present themselves as a runner, are still protected way too much in the NFL today, that he may have been concerned about going for a full tackle. But he just pushed him, and that didn't do anything to stop his momentum. If anything, it gave him extra momentum to avoid a defender who was right behind him. So overall, yes, the defense was quite subpar. They still weren't terrible. Holding a team to 26 points, especially with the field position that they constantly had. Having Eddie Pinheiro be out meant that we were constantly having the first kickoff was a squib kick from Camu Grugier-Hill, who was a linebacker, mind you, that allowed them to start at the 40-yard line for their first possession of the game. And there were multiple other times, of course, with the offense being inept, giving up good field position either from having to punt and a good return by, like, say, Parker Washington, or just a bad punt that had a bad bounce that bounced back to the 30. That happened a few times during the game. Stuff like that. They constantly had good field position. And, of course, in the end, we did, give a pick to Jacksonville. That didn't end up in points, but still, that is another example of the field position battle going their way, as well as the multiple losses on downs. CJ Beathard played, as well as you would expect a backup in the year of the backup to play. But still, the Panthers, supposed to be a top 10 defensive unit, did get some good pressure on Beathard, but during the blitz, he actually did fantastically, so good job for him there. And he played well overall during the entire game, too. Obviously enough to win. But that pretty much clears up what I want to talk about with the defense, because the defense overall is just, yes, they played subpar, but they were at least still playing pretty good football and getting a few stops. The offense, on the other hand, judging by the scoreboard, you can tell, was completely fucking shit. Oh my god. I mean, watching this offense, and I cannot say this with any more sincerity, was legitimately fucking painful, and I'm supposed to be numb at this point from what I've seen. But we were shut out today. We got nothing, not even a field goal. And if we did get in the normal field goal range, we couldn't have even kicked it then because Pinheiro was injured. Hecker's field goal range is 25 yards, and I don't even know what Camu Grugier-Hill's is, even though he's our emergency kicker. It's just mind-boggling. The O-line played absolutely fucking horrid today. Like, they were letting in everything. There were times where they would blitz a linebacker, even though they were still only rushing 4, the guard would bite on the double team, and the linebacker would just sprint straight forward for Young's face, and Young had to throw it away or try to throw and get a quick throw off, and it just wasn't ready because the play hadn't developed yet. And Young still had a few bad throws. He had some overthrows and stuff like that, which he has shown that has been a problem over the entirety of the season, and it needs to be cleaned up. But still, there are multiple times where you can't, blame him for it because he has a defender in his face. So obviously he's going to have to throw it higher to make sure it doesn't get batted down or picked by that linebacker who is currently jumping at him. We also saw a result of this O-line play be that we actually saw Bryce Young get injured this day. He came back into the game, but there was a point in which he was hit and sacked, and he stayed down holding his back, and we were very concerned. It looked like it ended up being a kidney hit that ended up being a stinger, winding him, caused a lot of pain. If you don't know, getting hit in the kidney fucking sucks, and it can, cause you to lay out for a little bit. So it looked like that's all that happened, and I'm glad that he is still okay, because that would have been awful, and all the Panthers fans would have rioted, except for the weird fucks of you out there who were glad to see him injured. I want to say, if you are glad that any player gets injured, you're a piece of shit. But Young did come back into play. I was a little bit concerned about it. I wanted them to go ahead and let him rest to make sure he didn't re-aggravate anything, but if it was just a stinger, that's fine. He came back in, and I don't know why, though, because the offense still played like shit. With Young having no ability at all to be able to actually sit in a comfortable pocket, he was constantly having to move around, which meant he got sacked constantly throughout this game. And it was super fucking frustrating because you are seeing him try his damnedest to do everything he can to make this work, to make the effort that his line is giving him, no matter how little it is, to make that worthwhile. Because there was that one point where he's looking at the tablet and he finally gets frustrated. We see Young lose his cool a little bit because he slams the tablet to the ground and he immediately goes to his offensive line. Is he yelling at them? No, he's trying to pump them up. He's trying to be a leader of men. He's trying to actually sit there and get his guys riled up, ready to go in and talk about what they can do to actually do better. And that is a great thing that I like to see, that Young is showing leadership even when he's getting to his most frustrated points. Inherent leadership is something that is very hard to coach and teach someone to do. So the fact that he has that in himself already, that it's a core personality trait of himself, is something that is amazing, and I'm excited to see build going forward. But when it came to the on-field play, yeah, Young didn't have the best day. He did have an interception today, but yeah, it was tipped, so take it with a grain of salt, but an interception is still an interception. And we ended up seeing a lot of drops by our receivers once again. DJ Chark, there was one instance where he was targeted like 3 times in a row, and they were all catchable balls. All of them were absolutely able to be caught, and he kept dropping them. There was one where he got down to the 2-yard line. He didn't survive the ground with the catch. There was one where he was on the sideline, didn't survive the ground with the catch. He had to turn around for one, and it just bounced off his hands. There are just too many times where we're seeing that instance happen. And if you want to talk about the difference between Young and Stroud receivers catch those balls for him. Young's don't. And once again, because I know it's going to happen, you can call me a Bryce apologist all you want, or a Bryce sexual. Fuck it. Sure, I am Bryce sexual, because I'm not an idiot who's going to look at any rookie player and say that he's a bust from his first year of play. It takes years to evaluate a player properly. You can have players who seem like they are going to be the absolute worst the NFL has to offer and then blossom into a pro year 3. The NFL takes time, and these players that you see doing great out of the gate, they are the exception, not the standard. There is one more game to be played this season. It is against the rival Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers having a hard time with the Saints this week. There is a chance we can beat them. It is a divisional game. Anything can happen. But we need that just for the heart and soul of these young players giving it their all. And I expect, if you want to be a good fan of this franchise, that even though this has been a hard season to watch and be a fan of, to sit there and endure, be behind our young guys. They need it, and they deserve it. They put their bodies on the line every week for us to be entertained. And even though this season has gone almost as bad as it could have gone, it could be worse, and we have to be happy that we are still seeing our young rookie quarterback go out there and be a leader, even though the season is a scratch. We have to be happy that we are seeing, even though these guys are like our third string offensive linemen, we're seeing them try their hardest. We're seeing them get angry. Derek Brown got ejected this game because he was fueled. He had a fire underneath him. And of course, it was him going up against Cam Robinson. Those two are just two fiery players, and they both got ejected for going at it with each other. And I don't really condone that because I feel like if you're a real man, you can solve it with words. But on a game like football, it gets heated. And sometimes you can't do anything besides just start pushing around. I'm disappointed that we were shut out. But overall, I'm just disappointed that there seems to be so much just complacency in the organization. When these players are still trying to give it their all, it seems like the coaching staff on some parts have given up. Not Tabor, not him. He's done a great job as interim head coach to try and do his best. Clock management, all of that. He's doing all the bells and whistles of being a good game manager and doing his job as interim head coach. We got Thomas Brown, who's trying to do a little bit more with offense, but it seems like execution was the biggest issue of the day here. Seems like a lot of the issues when it came to play calls were player side, stuff like that. And of course, Ejiro Evero and the entirety of the defense giving it their all no matter what, even if it was a little bit subpar today. They are giving it their all. I will give them my all as a fan. That is why I sit here in this chair and I do this analysis. I do this because I care, I love this team, and I want to see them do better, and I want to talk with other fans and see what they think we can do to be better. I love this team, and I will never stop loving this team. And I hope you guys who are out there, who are Panthers fans, will also stick with this team, even though we are in another dark time of our NFL existence. We are a very young team still, only coming into existence in 95. I wasn't even fucking born yet. I was born in 03. I was born just in time for the Panthers to make their first Super Bowl. We lost that Super Bowl. It took us until 2011 to be able to get our next franchise quarterback. That franchise quarterback took us to a Super Bowl in 2015. And now, since 2017, we've been on a downward slope again. But if we stand up, be good fans, and get behind the rookie quarterback and give him the time he deserves as a pro player in the sport to develop, and we make sure we course our owner to make the correct needs and changes to get the good coaches around him, we will see this franchise take a faster turn than other rebuilding franchises have done. We've been rebuilding for long enough, and the clock was reset once we got our new franchise quarterback. But now we're not going to wait another 3 years to do it. We can rally, we can make this better, and we have the opportunity to do that in the division we are in. A lot of our opponents are going to be getting into their cap hell stage, where a lot of them are going to see their old guys retire or move on. They're going to see a lot of players that they're not going to be able to pay. We have the opportunity to still take the division in the next 2, hopefully 1 to 2 years, maybe 3. There is a path to become a playoff team next season. It is a very difficult path that I do not know if I can trust our ownership to make us actually available to get there. But I will still have the hope, because there is no reason to be a fan if you can't have hope for the best case scenario. You can expect the worst, but at least hold on a little bit of shred, like a smidgen of hope that we can make the right choices. All the frustration, although, it's completely valid. There's no other way to put it. It's valid. This has been a hard season, but I will give my 100% as long as those guys on the field are still giving theirs. Still, congratulations, Jacksonville. You have one more game to make sure you can get to double-digit wins and get a really good chance at making sure you really lock up that division. It may have already happened depending on how the games play out the rest of this day. But still, you guys did great. CJ Beathard did a great job backing up Trevor Lawrence. You can now feel safe that if Lawrence aggravates an injury, you still got a good chance with him under center. So, enjoy the playoffs. Do well. I hope you guys enjoyed the game. And for Panthers fans, it's rough. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.